Yo, what is up, you ferocious Futives? I'm finally doing it after a year of you guys asking for a 3-year-old game's classes and settings. I'm finally doing it before the end of this game's life cycle. Not a lot has changed, and honestly, at this point, most of it's preference. And I just want to give you guys a quick heads up that this is probably the last video I'll ever do for this game and Warzone, but I'm gonna have a website called Futives.com where you can actually see all of these settings, classes updated every day. Anytime I ever hop on the game, I'm like, hey, I should change this. It'll be changed on the website, so anytime you want to check it out, just go to the website. It'll always be the most updated settings, classes, and you'll also be able to find my anything in my setup, my gear, my controller, my desk, my diapers, my baby wipes, whatever you need to find, you'll find it there. It'll also have links where you can click on them and you can support me by using the link. It'll bring you straight to Amazon. You can just click and buy it there and it'll support me as well, and it'll be no extra charge for you, so I'd appreciate it a lot. But let's get into the classes here. Again, a lot of these are just kind of preference. I kind of just had the most basic outline of them. Damn, I'm going to be going over some of the guns and just kind of going over what things you could change. So we're obviously going to start off with the MP5 here. Lethal, honestly, it doesn't really matter. Just don't use like the C4 or something that's terrible, but I like to use Semtex or throwing knife. Maybe frag grenade if you're playing a map like Backlot, but this kind of applies for every class as well. But Semtex and Stim is always a good choice. But you can always run Snapshot or Stun. I really wouldn't run anything else. I feel like everything else is pretty useless, except maybe smokes on like an AX50 thermal class, but for the most part, it's pretty all self-explanatory. Double time just so you can get around the map fast. You can always switch it out with EOD. Hardline helps you get your specialist for one less kill, which is why I like to have Quick Fix as my first specialist one. Just because as soon as you get a kill, it'll immediately heal you up. So as soon as you get a kill, it'll be like you had a quick fix to start with, but now you have double time to get there faster and beat people to like rush routes. And then amped, it's kind of preference. I just like to be able to switch faster. Honestly, weirdly enough, makes me feel like I move around the map faster. I kind of feel like tune-up is actually better just because you get your dead silence really, really fast, but it's honestly preference. I just use whatever I'm feeling like using. And for the MP5, I use operator foregrip. Now, I feel like Merc is low-key better. The only reason I use Operator over Merc now is just because it makes you run around the map faster. I think this makes you run like 4% slower, but the recoil and hipfire is really, really good as well. It like basically makes your gun a beam, but if you don't have any trouble with recoil, honestly, Operator's fine. This is the only magazine you should be using unless maybe you're playing a respawn. Stippled for the sprint of fire. Slide of hand so you can reload faster, and the stock for the ADS movement speed. And then the only things I'd really change is maybe taking off stippled or slide of hand. You could honestly use monolithic integral suppressor. It's the same as monolithic for the muzzle. I think it has 0.5 extra range, so it really doesn't matter. I kind of like to use this one just because it looks better, but if you're not using suppressor, the only thing I'd really use between suppressor is maybe compensator or muzzle brake if you're struggling with the recoil. Laser's not really worth it, and then optic is just asking to get shit on, to be honest. For the secondary, you can use anything. I just like to use a knife or Cali sticks. Cali sticks is technically faster, and honestly, I'd probably say better, but I just like the amount of knife variants I have. It's all the same, really. And then going on to the M4, Corvus, you can switch it out with M16. Commando is really all I'd use. Magazine, you could probably use 50 rounds instead of sleight of hand. Stippled for the speed and no stock as well. You can always take off something for something like compensator. I wouldn't use a suppressor on here, and if you really want a red dot, you could, but it's just a waste in my opinion. Same thing goes for the classes. Most of them have the same exact specialist setup unless you're maybe running overkill. You might want to take off double time and put on quick fix as your first perk, but other than that, it should be all the same. Then we have the Amax Abuser, bro. I absolutely hate this gun. I get slammed every time I use it, but all the YY kids love this, bro. They all put disabling on the gun and then just shoot you in the feet. It's really, really, really annoying. But if you do want to use it, Zodiac, Commando, Stippled, no stock, sleight of hand. If you want to be a real detriment, you can take off maybe Stippled or something, put on the 45 round mag, and then you can either take off sleight of hand and put on disabling or keep sleight of hand on, but honestly Stippled is just my preference because I like to be a little bit faster. And now we have the Uzi. Apparently I started this meta, and bro, I genuinely truly apologize because this gun might be the most broken gun I've ever used in my life. It's a 3-shot basically anywhere across the map. If you take off something and put on monolithic suppressor, bro, you have a sniper rifle, an AR, an SMG, a shotgun all in one, bro. This gun will 3-shot people across the map, but I don't like to use it just because it makes it a little bit slower. I use basically what you need for this gun to be good is this barrel and this magazine. Everything else is preference. I use GI Mini Reflex because the iron sights are terrible. You can still take it off and put on the suppressor, and this gun will not kill, or you won't lose a gunfight if you could see through the iron sights. It's absolutely absurd. Stippled and no stock for the speed. Everything else is the same. The Bison is honestly the only thing I'd use in respawn. It's terrible in S&D, but in respawn, like Shipment Shoot House, it might be one of the most fun and most rewarding guns in the game. It has insane ammo count, insane like movement. It's just really, really good when you get specialists going. It's really good for nukes if you're going for that, but I use mono, polygonal, tack laser. I use skeletal instead of no stock just for like the strafing speed, and then stippled. You can always take off stippled or something and maybe use sleight of hand, but if you're using specialist, you won't need it because once you hit your specialist bonus, you have sleight of hand, so I feel like it's kind of a waste for most of the perks, especially if you're playing a respawn. And then the MP7, this one can change a lot. Like this gun is so versatile, it's actually absurd. There's so many different things you can do. Some of the attachments I've been using recently is mono, FFS recon, just to make an absolute beam. You can honestly take off the grip and put on sleight of hand and like stipple. This one's just really up to you. I wouldn't use a laser, I wouldn't use an optic. But honestly, everything else is preference. The only stock I'd use is no stock or maybe the ultralight for that strafe speed, but I feel like no stock's the best and everything else is honestly preference. Then going to the Mk2 Carbon. I used to use this gun a lot. It just kind of sucks now compared to the SBR or car, but basically it's all ADS stuff. You could take off maybe sleight of hand or one of these attachments if you're not feeling it and put on like a mono suppressor. But again, preference. The AX50, I used to use variable zoom because I thought it was like a lot easier to see at close range. It still is, but I kind of got used to it, so I took it off and I used focus or sleight of hand depending on what I'm playing. You shouldn't really be using anything else in my opinion. Everything else should just be for ADS speed. Even if you're getting hit markers, just aim higher, brother. Then for the secondary, I don't really like to overkill these two, but I just wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. For the HGR, it's pretty terrible. Like, there's not really anything you can do. They give you way too many attachments, so I try to do everything ADS, but again, there's not enough attachments for it, so I just put a bipod on for funsies. And then I use variable zoom because some of the variants of this gun have a really, really nice variable zoom where the scope is completely circular, and it's a lot easier to see targets in my opinion. But again, if you don't like that, put on like lightweight suppressor or something if you want to be suppressed. For the car, I use all ADS things unless I'm playing Warzone, and the website actually does have my Warzone classes as well. It'll have my Modern Warfare 2 classes as well. It'll have everything you need to know from now on, but I probably will make a video on Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2 maybe like the first week or so, depending on how the meta's forming. I don't really like doing meta class videos. It's kind of corny in my opinion, but people ask for it, so just always check the website instead of asking me over and over again. It'll constantly be updated again. But for the car, I use all ADS and then focus or sleight of hand depending on what I'm playing. You don't really need anything else. Anything else is a waste in my opinion. For the SPR, same thing, except the barrel. I do use an ADS barrel. Some people like to put the Lapupo mags on here. I'm not a fan of them. I just like to do all ADS, again, just aim higher. But if you want, you could take off this barrel and maybe put on sleight of hand or focus. I feel like this gun is really, really good, even without it. So it's not really needed, but if you want, you can maybe take off the optic too. I know iron sight, sniping with SPR, it's like really, really overpowered on a controller, but I mean, if you're not playing controller, you might as well wrap it up and use an AX50. And for some MK players again, the RAM is crazy, crazy good. It's good on controller, but RAM on MK is absolutely absurd. This is my favorite class so far. I feel like a mono, I don't really use this gun. This gun's pretty underrated, I feel like, unless you're playing MK. But mono suppressor, commando, 50 rounds, then any red dot. I like this one a lot. I think it looks pretty cool. And then we have the XRK close quarter stock. And by the way, just want to get this out of the way. I do not use an unlock tool. All these camos I got were from the camo swap glitch that you needed a console to do. Please, for the love of God, stop asking me what my tool is. You're going to get banned. I've never tooled in my life. I'll never do that shit. I've spent so much money and time on this account that I'm just not gonna risk it. I mean, if you go to my time played, I think I have like 30 days on this game, bro. There's just no way I risk the amount of hours and money I've spent on this account for really, really corny camos. Please don't do that. If someone says you're not gonna get banned, they're lying through their chipped teeth. Don't do it, bro. You're gonna get banned. Moving on for that, I'm gonna go into my settings now. Again, this is all depending on what you have and whether you're on console or PC, but I'm currently playing on PC. I plan on upgrading maybe my graphics card and CPU sometime soon, but right now I'm playing at 1440p. I do think 1440p is a big jump from 1080p. It makes it a lot easier to see people. Honestly, for most of this, you don't need to change anything. It's kind of preference. Maybe put your brightness up a little bit, but you can honestly do some tinkering with your monitor to get that setting right. I do a custom frame rate so my computer doesn't explode when I'm trying to load into Piccadilly for the 30th time. So I like to have my in-game custom frame rate at 300. Everything else is capped. And then for the reflex low latency, I actually do enable instead of boost. I honestly don't really know anything about the whole like optimizing thing. I had my homie Freethy do it. He made my PC run real good, like low latency type of thing. So maybe hit him up for that. And don't ask me. I don't really know what I'm doing here, but for field of view, a lot of people don't know this, but if you plan a field of view over like 105, 110, you lose aim assist. So if you want to get the maximum amount of aim assist, I'd probably recommend playing 100 affected instead of 120. If you want the extra like field of view and want to feel like you're really fast, go 120. But honestly, I shot the straightest when I was playing like 100 FOV back in the day. For camera movement, you should do 50 so it doesn't feel like you're playing an earthquake and then you have to go on live support and try to get the match reversed. For render resolution, do 100 unless your PC is really good and you want it to look extra clear, but I don't think it's worth it. Streaming quality, I have it on low because I feel like it makes my game stutter sometimes. Texture resolution, normal high. But honestly, if you don't have like the greatest computer and you want the absolute lowest like latency and best feeling, I'd honestly just make everything on low or off. That's like the best thing you can do for your performance and feeling of the game. But some people are pretty picky about that. These are the settings I kind of just switch around a lot because I'm, you know, pretty inconsistent and picky what I want. Sometimes I want the game to look good, but then it feels like shit, vice versa. So I'll switch it around a lot. This is what I've been using recently. I feel like this has been running pretty good. I think I get like 200 frames playing like this. But I mean, this game's terribly optimized at this point. So I like to have bullet impacts and sprays off. I used to have them on, but people like to spray the little funny guy looking at you, so I don't want to jump into a room and think there's a guy shooting at me. So I turned it off. Tessellation off. Gore effects, same reason. It kind of makes it hard to see sometimes, but it is cooler. It's kind of preference as well. Texture streaming off because I felt like that was also causing stuttering, especially in Warzone. Filmic stuff off. DLSS off. Anti-aliasing off. Depth of field, basically all these just make it harder to see, so they're all off. And then shadow map resolution's on normal, but honestly that can go on low. You should always have these caches on, just basically to give you more performance. Particle lighting normal. Ray tracing, bro, unless you're playing ultra cinematic and you want to get 10 frames, please don't turn this on. Some people turn this on and don't realize they have it on. Please don't ever turn that on, for the love of God. Ambient off and SR off. And as well for the interface, again, this is preference. A lot of people like to play with colorblind. I'm not colorblind, so I don't use it. HUD, I actually like to have this usually at 0, but when you're playing a Warzone, the developers thought it was a really good idea to basically make any notification right where you're aiming, so I had to make it 100, but I like to usually have that 0. Minimap, please play on square, you'll be able to see more. Some people are still stuck on circle for whatever reason. Compass, I don't like to have it on, but it is useful, especially because I think having your compass on is a useful game mechanic once you learn how to use it, so definitely keep this on. Text, I don't really think matters. Everything else, basically just up to you. I don't really change any of this except the introduction movie. If you want to feel like you're in a Dolby Atmos movie theater at Regal IMAX Ultra 4D type shit, turn it off, but please just turn it on, bro. You don't want to hear that every time you open the game. Audio, this is where you should not follow me at all. I use Dolby Atmos, and then I also have another program where it's like an EQ, and for people who don't know what that is, it basically changes the way the audio comes in my headset. So everything here is just made for me and what it's going to be easier for me to hear footsteps with. If you don't have any of that stuff, just do boost high or boost low. I used to use boost low, but it's preference at that point. Don't use home theater or studio reference. Use boost low or boost high. Turn music off. Basically, you can follow like this stuff, I guess, but don't use home theater. Everything here is basically up to you as well. Controller. You can follow most of this, but again, it's all up to you. How it feels to you should be what matters. You shouldn't copy everything I use. This is something you have to figure out yourself. The best example of this is Dead Zone. This is completely different for everyone. Dead Zone is basically how much input needs to be used for you to start moving. And if you have a really bad controller, it'll start having a mind of its own if it's too low. You know what I mean? You basically want to put this as low as possible before it starts moving on its own. Because the lower you have, the less input delay it feels like it has. So basically, keep this as low as possible, but you're going to have to figure this out yourself. For this one, I actually like to have the left stick max input dead zone pretty low. Maybe have it at 75 instead of 60. But basically, you want to have it on full because if you're strafing on a controller, you get more aim assist. So it's good to have that pretty low. Right stick doesn't matter. I'm playing 8.9 here. These, again, preference. You got to play on your own sensitivity. Find out what feels best for you. Dynamic gives you the most aim assist. I play with vibration off. Standard aim assist. If you do only snipe though, I would use precision and focusing because it gives you more aim assist. Scale aim assist with FOV. I used to have it off. This is kind of preference. I feel like off makes it feel like you have too much aim assist and you can't be like precise with it. Like the bubble just gets way too big. So I'd recommend having it on. Everything else, basically preference here, but I would have contextual tap on for Warzone. Slide behavior tap for slide canceling, and auto tack sprint basically gives you better movement, but I played like the first year or two without it. I just used it because I didn't want to break my controllers, but again, up to you, but I would keep it on if you are kind of struggling with your movement. And now, on to some movement type things. Alright, now that we're in game, I'm going to be showing you some movement tech and just some things that you might not know about. I should be starting off with Aim Assist. Aim Assist is something that you can really abuse. And I have a lot of people coming to my Twitch chat basically asking me, hey, should I switch to controller? Should I switch to keyboard and mouse? And the way I say it is, if you're playing only Call of Duty, Aim Assist is so much better than mouse and keyboard. And like 95% of the engagements, it's not even funny. Like it's not ever going to be worth using Mk2 in the long term unless you want to play other games like Valorant or like Apex or something. But even Apex is kind of like up to you. but I would definitely recommend playing controller if you're only going to play Call of Duty. But other than that, there's some really, really easy ways to abuse the aim assist. Speaking of the devil, but basically, if you're strafing, I'm not even touching my right stick, basically. So when you're touching your left stick and just strafing, it'll basically follow them for you. Obviously, it's not going to do all the work, but it's pretty insane. Like, if I go up to the wall here and just go back, I'm literally just putting my controller stick backwards. I'm not going side to side, but the game thinks I'm strafing. And because of that, it'll basically aim for me. Again, I'm not touching the right stick at all. So this bozo doesn't know I'm about to just... Didn't even touch my right stick. It's absurd. Aim assist is super easy to abuse, but there is easy ways to lose it. Again, playing at 120 FOV will kind of hurt your aim assist a bit, but there's also other things you can do to break aim assist, like throwing smokes on yourself, hiding in them, one-way smoking by proning in the smokes. There's a bunch of little things you can do, but I don't think I really want to go in depth with that just yet. The next thing I guess I should go into is b-hopping. This is actually one of the another thing is because you're strafing while you do it, you get some pretty good aim assist. So if we get this rose skin dummy to just sit still for a second, the best way to like b-hop in my opinion is to ADS and do it. I feel like when you ADS, it's just easier, but that's just my like own opinion. An easy way to grab momentum off of b-hopping is going up on a slope. Basically, if you're up high and there's like a slope downwards, when you jump and b-hop off of it, you'll basically get this like huge boost and jump. You can't really do it on this map, but a really good example would be a map like Crash. I mean, I've done it in a couple of my videos. You've seen me hop pretty far. I think I've even done it in Vanguard. The only games you can currently b-hop in is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, Warzone, and Vanguard, and Warzone 2, and MW2. But those games aren't out yet. But those are the only games you can really abuse this in. I think you can bounce in COD 4. I don't think there's any bounces on MWR, but I mean, I don't think anyone's playing it. 2007 game right now. The next thing I want to go into is snaking. So for people who don't know what snaking is, if you ever seen a pro go like this, and you're like, what are they doing? What? They look dumb right now. They're actually doing this to where they can see this guy and he can't see you. So the way you do this is you basically go forward, backwards, and you just prone while you're going up. You can do it faster. It's something that takes a lot of practice, but honestly, I'm not too good at it because I don't do it a lot, but it's very useful if you're on a heady. It's kind of looked down upon if you do it. You're kind of seen as a rat, a weirdo, a freak. But this guy's snaking right now. He can see me, but I can't see him. You'll be able to see him for like a split second, but on that guy's screen, he can basically see me perfectly. It's really scummy, but hey man, if you're playing for XP, if you're playing for millions, go for it. But if you do this, you can see him pretty well. But again, I'm on like a weird spot, but you can see his head and this guy can't even see me getting up basically. But yeah, you just go forward, backwards, and prone. It'll take some getting used to. You can also always hop into a private match with a friend. I actually always have a Discord that's open if you want to hang out with people, find some people to play with, etc. We have a lot of Valorant players as well, but if you want to go to discord.gg/Futives and join the Discord, you can also find people to play with, hang out with me, get announcements, giveaways, all that good stuff for MW. And I'm pretty sure the consoles actually have Discord support as well. So you'll also be able to find some people to play with. We're going to probably host some tournaments there soon as well. But if you want to hang out, discord.gg/Futives, and the link will always be in the description below. The next thing we're going to go into is breaking cameras. So you probably heard this before and not really understood what it means. So basically what it means breaking your camera is your first person view is your camera. And for example, when someone slides on you like this and you can't follow them, they've broken your camera. If they can't keep track of you, if you're no longer in that person's camera, you broke their camera. And there's a bunch of ways to do this. For example, slide canceling like this and then going behind them. Oh, actually, let me get into slide canceling. This is actually a good example of getting slide canceling. The way you slide cancel, if you don't know still, you double tap the slide or crouch button. For me, it's circle because I'm playing on scuff now. I'm no longer playing tactical. So my right paddle is the slide button and my left paddle is the jump button. So you double tap the slide button and then you press X to cancel it out and then you keep going forward. It's always good to keep in mind that you have to keep going forward for it to really look good, because if not, you'll kind of just stop. So that also regens your tack sprint, which basically keeps you running at full speed for a lot longer, rather than running out like this and then not being able to run at full speed anymore. So when you slide cancel, it'll give it back to you. But slide canceling is pretty crucial to breaking cameras. Basically getting as much speed as you possibly can in the game. But slide canceling, especially around corners, can help break people's cameras. If you basically come onto someone's screen in a millisecond and kill them like this, if you kill them instantly, pre-fire them, they're done for. They're not going to be able to do a lot reaction-wise time. And there's also something called peeker's advantage in first-person shooters. So basically because of like the whole internet networking thing, when you're jumping at someone, you see them first before they see you. So the easiest way to camera is to jump at them when it's least expected, or just basically first person to shoot usually wins unless you just get joked, whether it's internet or something else weird. There's a lot of ways to camera. But honestly, most people just slide on them like that, break their camera like that, where they can't follow you. So basically what a lot of people do to camera is they'll snake into a slide and then double tap X when they're on the ground. And on their screen, it'll look like they actually just got up in a frame. I'll have this guy do it here like that. You basically have no time to react if they have their gun out like that. It's a really, really bad way of getting cameraed. If you're in this situation, you're done for, bro. That's Celium Jr. in the blood. That's where pre-firing comes really, really in handy. If you're one of those like S&D shipment 1v1 players who cares about like getting shit talked and then winning a 1v1, if you can see on the top of my screen this little compass, you'll see like the little red dot, and you'll see, since radar is always on, you'll see his dot constantly. In multiplayer as well, instead of people showing up on the radar, they'll only show up on the compass when shot. And something like a lot of 1v1 players will do is they'll basically line up the middle of their screen with this diamond here. And since I know he's on top of the tires here, I just basically line up the middle of my screen with a diamond and I'll start shooting. I basically kill him. So this is something a lot of pros do to get pre-fires done and just honestly keep their centering on top. Centering is something that's very important. It's not crazy important like in a game like CSGO or Valorant where crosshair placement matters. But in 1v1s where first shot matters in a game like this, it definitely does help a lot. It's definitely a good habit to have, and I recommend it a lot, and it's a really, really good tip. And a lot of people ask me how to get better at Call of Duty. The only way to get better at Call of Duty is either watching people who are good at the game and learning from them, or playing the game religiously, and not just playing the game to play it, but playing it with passion. As cringe as it is to say, bro, you gotta be passionate to win. Bro, I used to play every Call of Duty's campaign on Veteran before I even hopped into multiplayer. I had to literally achieve everything there was in the game. And when I was waiting to play with people, I'd shoot like 500 to 1,000 bots a day. Literally getting muscle memory, getting your sense on point, making everything feel like second nature to you is huge in this game. So yep, just shoot bots every day. Radar always on. Recruit difficulty doesn't really matter. Just get your shot warm with multiple guns. Play everything you possibly can and play to get better instead of playing just to play. Playing people who are bad at the game obviously feels good and could help your aim just get a little bit warm, but playing people who are actually good at the game is always going to help you learn. As cringe it is to say, losing is learning and winning is teaching. You know the saying? Like that shit, bro, it really does mean something. And if you really do want to get better, you want to be more than just average, I guess. But at the end of the day, SBMM will do that for you anyways, bro. You're going to be playing against optic scumpies every game you play. It doesn't really matter. But always playing to get better is always something you should be doing, in my opinion. It'll always help. But this is definitely going to be the last video I ever make on this subject on MW. Maybe I'll do something different for Modern Warfare 2 if things really change. But movement breaking is always going to happen. Slide canceling's... It might get patched, who knows, but breaking cameras matters. Having to jump on people pre-firing and playing to your aim assist is huge, bro. Just remember that your aim assist is everything in this game. It's really cringe, but sometimes literally just remembering in a gunfight that if you strafe, you'll have a bigger chance of winning is huge. I actually forget to do this a lot, but I've been trying to get back into it just because I want to start playing to get better again. A game like this, having it for 3 years and it being the same just kind of demoralizes you. But again, if you want to get anything updated, it'll be on my website, Futives.com. If you want to find people to play with, discord.gg/Futives. My gear will be on there, my merch will be on there, literally everything will be on there. So this video won't really need an update. I don't think it ever will be. I'll probably make some videos for Modern Warfare 2. Control freaks, all that stuff is not needed. I don't use control freaks, anything of the sort. You don't even need the scuff, man. You can, there's so many workarounds to get better. I mean, dude, I've been playing video games my entire life. I didn't get a scuff controller until like 3 months ago, you know? So you can make it work. I play tactical. The only thing I wouldn't recommend playing is clocks. I'm pretty sure that's like terrible for your hands. But what I would recommend is taking breaks when you're playing video games. Go outside, stretch, at least go out for 1 hour a day. Don't sit and ferment in your own stink. Like, genuinely try to make yourself a better person in and out of game. Please don't think you have to be the best in a video game. That's not going to matter in a year. Play to get better, play to have fun, but don't let it stress you out, man. There's always ways to get better. You don't need a big bank account, bro. I was dirt poor. I dropped my nuke on a fucking hotspot, bro. I literally didn't have, like, real internet. I dropped my nuke on a hotspot on a poopy controller. Anyone can do it, bro. It's passion, getting better, and obviously getting lucky. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for always supporting me. 1 mil real soon, dude. I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy your days. Please get off this game when Modern Warfare 2 drops. It's been 3 years. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys later.